Hello, it's Yellow, and welcome back to my channel. I hope y'all are good, and today I got a pretty dramatic story time for y'all. And before I start, I just want to note that I don't want anyone to get personally annoyed or insulted because of this story time. I myself am a very big anime fan, and I just want to tell this because this happened in middle school. And with that all said, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Back when I was in middle school, there was this kid everyone knew, but not in a good way. You know how every school has that one weird dude who thinks he's the main character? Yeah, this guy was exactly that. So this was around 7th grade, maybe 8th, I'm not sure. And there was this kid who we're gonna call Jason for this story time. Now, before I continue, I'm not talking about a normal anime fan. Half my friends and I watch anime. This dude was on a completely different level. Jason didn't just like anime, he thought he was in an anime. Every single day he came to school wearing those oversized black trench coats, even when it was hot like hell outside. He used to, like Naruto, run through the hallway unironically, and the worst part, he genuinely believed people thought he was cool. At lunch, he'd sit there by himself drawing anime eyes in his notebook while humming openings under his breath. Sometimes he'd randomly say Japanese words out loud for no reason at all. Except he didn't actually know Japanese, like at all. This man learned everything from random anime clips on YouTube and completely butchered every word he said. Instead of saying arigato, he'd say arigata. Or like instead of baka, he would scream baka. Like he was charging up a Dragon Ball attack, I swear to God. And every sentence ended up with chan or senpai. For example, can you pass the milk, senpai? Brother, we are in math class. Nobody even bullied him at first because honestly, everyone was just confused. It was like watching a car drive slowly toward a wall. You know it's gonna crash eventually, but you just can't stop looking. And the real problem was that Jason took anime way too seriously. He thought regular conversations were NPC dialogue. I remember one time a teacher told him to put his phone away and he literally whispered, "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Bro thought he was in season 3 of something, but the day everything exploded happened during English class. And I swear this sounds fake, but every single thing happened exactly how I remember it, too vividly. So our English teacher was this older woman, we're gonna call her Miss Patterson. Super nice teacher, by the way, calm, patient, and the type of teacher who really tried hard not to embarrass students, which made what happened even worse. We had assigned seats, but unfortunately, I sat directly behind Jason for almost an entire year, so I had front row seats to all his weird behavior. That particular day, we were doing presentations on books we read. Normal middle school stuff. So everybody's half asleep, people are whispering, someone's tapping a pencil on the desk, and Jason comes walking in late wearing fingerless gloves. I'm not even exaggerating, fingerless black gloves in middle school. He sits down dramatically and drops this huge manga book on the desk, loud as hell, by the way, and Miss Patterson goes, "Jason, I'm glad you could join us." And this dude bows his head slightly and says, "My apologies, I was delayed." The class already started laughing quietly. Then Miss Patterson starts calling students up for presentation one by one. Everything is normal for about 20 minutes, and then she calls on me. I get up, do my little presentation, whatever, nothing special. I'm talking about some random book I barely read because I was a middle schooler and I didn't care. But while presenting, I hear this weird whispering behind me, and at first I ignore it. And then I hear, "He doesn't understand true pain." And I immediately know it's Jason. People started snickering, and Mrs. Patterson tells him to stop talking, so I finish my presentation and go sit back down. And this is where things go completely off the rails. As soon as I sit down, Jason leans back in his chair and goes, "Huh, you embarrassed yourself out there." And I'm confused because this dude has literally never spoken to me directly before, so I'm like, "What?" and he pushes his glasses up dramatically with one finger, and he says, I said your presentation lacked honor. Bro, what does that even mean? At this point, the kids around us trying not to laugh. I tell him, okay, dude. You know, me just trying to end the conversation. But apparently that offended him because he slowly turns around in his seat and stares directly at me like an anime villain. I still remember this because his eyes started twitching. Not joking, by the way. Then he whispers, you shouldn't mock a warrior. And my dumbass is trying so hard not to laugh at this point because I genuinely thought he was joking. But this man, he was dead serious. And then Mrs. Patterson calls his name for his presentation, and this dude stands up so suddenly his chair falls backward. The entire class goes silent. Jason walks to the front of the room carrying his manga book like it's some like sacred artifact, and he sets it down on the teacher's desk and just stands there for a second with his head lowered. No words, just silence. And Miss Patterson finally goes, Jason, you can begin. And this man starts talking in what he thinks is Japanese, except it sounded completely insane. And I'm not even trying to be mean. And please don't kill me, guys, but it was literally like this. Watashi wa tomodachi arigata sakura nani? Absolute fucking nonsense. The class immediately loses it. People are coughing, trying not to laugh. Literally, I was just looking down and concentrating on my breathing because I would have lost it. And Jason keeps going even more louder. Like he thinks this issue is confidence. And as much as we calm down, we start listening to him again, just speaking nonsense, and then he randomly points at me in the middle of his speech and yells, Baka! And the room explodes laughing. Miss Patterson is trying to regain control of the class while Jason's face starts turning red, and instead of stopping, he doubles down. This dude slams his hand on the desk and screams, You fools don't understand Japanese culture. At this point, even Miss Patterson looks stunned. Then the funniest thing happened. One of the quiet kids in our class, this dude named Eric, who barely ever spoke, raises his hand, calmly goes, Jason, I'm actually Japanese. And whatever you said, I didn't understand any of it. In the silence after that, unreal. Jason freezes, like completely freezes, and Eric continues, like, that's not how you pronounce any of those words. And I swear you could feel Jason's soul leave his body, but instead of admitting defeat like a normal human being, this man decides to crash out. He points at Eric and goes, you're lying. Bro, you cannot tell someone they're lying about being a certain culture. And Eric, still completely calm, just starts speaking actual Japanese fluently, not aggressively, just normal Japanese. Jason looked like his brain stopped functioning. You know when somebody gets embarrassed so badly they stop blinking? Yeah, that was Jason. Mrs. Patterson finally steps in and tells Jason to sit down, and this is where the situation somehow gets even worse. Because Jason turns around towards me again for some fucking reason, and I guess in his mind, I was responsible for the humiliation somehow. So while everyone's still laughing and giggling, he suddenly walks towards my desk all angry. Now remember, we are like 13 years old, and this dude gets in my face and says, You think this is funny? At this point, I was like, I absolutely did think it was funny, but I also didn't want any problems, so I said, like, dude, chill. And that was the wrong answer because suddenly Jason throws this weird fake anime punch at me. Not a real punch, like one of those dramatic spitting TV punches people do in martial arts movies. And while he's doing it, this man yells, yeah! And I move like 2 inches out of the way and he completely missed me. Completely. Thankfully, that would have done some damage because he had a clenched fist. And because he put his entire body into it, he lost balance and slammed shoulder first into a desk. The desk flipped sideways. Papers went everywhere. The class dead. People were like literally crying. One girl literally slid out of her chair. And even, I swear, even Miss Patterson had to turn away for a moment because she was trying not to laugh while yelling for everyone to calm down. And Jason stood up looking like he was about to cry. I started feeling bad. But then he stood up, pointed at me dramatically, and said, "This isn't over." And then he stormed out of the classroom, except he forgot his backpack. So, like 10 seconds later, he had to awkwardly come back inside and grab his backpack. Nobody even said anything, and that somehow made it a lot more worse. He grabbed the backpack while like without making eye contact with anyone and just walked out again. The second the door closed, we all died. And Miss Patterson sat down at her desk, rubbing her forehead like she had just survived a war. And Eric just raises his hand and he quietly goes, guys, he said, "Thank you, Cherry Blossom." What, by the way? And I thought it was over, but then my stomach started to hurt. I swear I gained a six-pack that day, and for the rest of the year, Jason became a quote-unquote legend at our school, but not in the good way. People would randomly yell, "Hiya!" in the hallway whenever he walked by. Somebody printed out a picture of Naruto and taped it into his like locker once, and after that incident, Jason casually stopped trying to speak Japanese completely. Honestly, I think reality hit him all at once that day. Looking back now as an adult, I do feel bad for him. Middle school is brutal. Everyone's like trying to figure out who they are, what they want to do, and some kids take weird phases way too far. But at the same time, brother tried to anime fight me in class after getting exposed by an actual Japanese kid. And that's a level of embarrassment that follows you for life. And the craziest part, a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, I randomly saw Jason at the grocery store back in my hometown. No trench coat, no gloves, no anime speeches, just normal dude stocking shelves. We made eye contact for like half a second and both of us instantly remembered. I could see it in his face, but neither of us said a word. And honestly, that was probably for the best. Now, guys, please don't ever bully anyone. Everyone goes through some weird phases, and it's a part of life. With that all said, I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Go touch grass if you haven't. And as always, stay yellow.